When my hands were emptied, when my hope was gone, I couldn't help but wonder what had I done wrong. Even though my heart was broken, there was no need to despair, 'cause a vessel must be open to put something better there. Oh yeah. Into my empty hands, gently you poured new life for me. Yours is a perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. So forgive me when I doubt it. I admit sometimes I do. Or consider giving up, 'cause I cannot see the truth. I know I'll never go without it. Your deep and abiding love, oh love. Into my empty hands, gently you poured new life for me. Yours is a perfect plan. The ups and the downs were meant to be. And I cannot help but cry to think of the gifts you've given me. Now I understand you needed my empty hands. Oh, thank you for my for mine. Oh, thank you for my empty hands. There's a book by a guy named Seth Godin. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him. He's this corporate motivator guy. I'd never heard of him except this I have this little book of his called The Dip. Anybody heard of it or seen it or read it? You have? Yeah. The Dip. And The Dip is all about quitting. And it's always kind of provoked me because I read this, well, actually I saw it. You remember this show called Actor Studio? I don't know if Actor Studio is still on. Is Actor Studio still on with that really pretentious but seemingly nice guy with the beard who interviews actors like he's interviewing the head of state, you know, of whatever. He sits there very seriously. So, tell me about your role in Dirty Dancing 2. You know, how did that kind of thing. It's a funny show. It's a nice show. And he was interviewing he was interviewing Tom Hanks, and maybe some of you have heard me talk about this little quote before. He was interviewing Tom Hanks, and he said, "Tell me, Tom, you've won an Academy Award for Philadelphia, and you won an Academy Award for Forrest Gump. How does it feel to be the most honored actor of your generation?" And Tom Hanks says, "To be honest, most of the time I just feel like the last man standing." And he says, "Last man standing?" He says, "Yeah, well, I always enjoyed acting and liked making people laugh, and took some acting classes, and there were more talented people in the classes with me, and I would go out to auditions, and there were more talented people auditioning, and they'd get the roles most of the time, and every so often I'd get one, a little bit here and there, and then one got sick, and one got pregnant, and one got broke, and one took a day job, and one moved to Seattle, and here I am, 30 years later, the last man standing." And he says, all I did was I just didn't quit. I didn't stop. And I love that last man standing idea. But the Dip book, the Seth Godin book, actually it pricks a little bit of the bubble of quitting. I'm certainly actually, can I share with you a cool thing that happened to my little family this week? Just brag about my dad. My dad was listed in he was named this week one of the best lawyers in America. That's cool. Like press release and everything, and best lawyers in America, and my dad is one of them. That's pretty awesome. And my dad and my mom would most definitely tell me, "You do not quit," and they certainly did my whole life. You do not quit. If you are done with something, maybe you're done with it, but you do not quit just because it's a little hard or a little, aggravating. Within reason, they let us quit. I mean, we all took piano lessons as little boys, and then only one of the three boys didn't quit. You can guess which one. But by and large, you didn't quit in school. You didn't quit on a team. You didn't quit going to college. You didn't quit. You didn't quit. Well, Seth Godin, in this book, The Dip, he challenges the question of whether quitting is actually a bad thing. The way he puts it, to be the best at something, and the way I'll put it today is to achieve what you really want to achieve. He says that too. But to achieve what you really want to achieve actually involves a lot of quitting. And if you look at all the greatest successes in the world, they've quit a lot. They just quit everything that wasn't the thing they wanted to be the best at. And that is a tricky thing. I got when I first got to LA, I would sing out in public, and my songs were decent, and my performances were decent, and a few people would approach me, "I'll publish that song," or let me work with you on this. And they were it was pretty small potato stuff, and I would always look at it and think, I don't know if that's where I want to land. I feel like I'm aiming higher than that. And I got the metaphor in my mind at the time that a part of the job early on in a career, maybe in any career, but certainly in what it felt like in my career, was I was holding a tennis racket in addition to a guitar, and balls would fly at me. People would whip things at me, and my job with the tennis racket was to swat them away. And that included the no's and the discouragements, but that also included bad offers, right? And so Seth Godin takes it just that one step further, to look at where you really want to go, and then look at all the things you should quit in order to get there. And quitting, therefore, is not a shameful thing, or an embarrassing thing, or a failure. It is actually an act of extreme discernment and self-awareness and focus and discipline and courage. So if today I'm talking to you just a little bit and mostly singing songs, if today is about getting where you're going, I've kind of identified 3 ways to do it, and I don't think any one of them is exclusive, nor is anyone right, nor does anyone occupy, nor do they necessarily live at the same time or at different times. They ebb and flow in my experience. I'm not a wise elder, but this is my observation, is that quitting is a part of it. So the first part of this morning is to ask you the question, what's it time to quit? If you slow down the sprint you're on, everyone in here is some kind of race, let's face it. Everyone's running somewhere, fighting some battle. Maybe not everyone, but let's say most of us. So let's make it a little more mindful. That's it. That's the opportunity for the morning. Let's make it a little more mindful. What extra battles are you fighting? What extra jobs are you doing? How much distraction are you unsuccessfully swatting away? How big is your tennis racket? And I did swat away, and I would have to say actually that I probably took that tennis racket thing too far over the years. I probably swatted away some things I shouldn't have. I probably should have taken some chances and trusted a few people. That's why I say none of these is exclusive, and I'm not a master of any of them. It's just a thought. Okay? So that's the first question is, what do you need to quit to get where you're going? That's it. Like I said, I have these new songs. The album's called Cornerstone, and I didn't have it last time I was here, right? So that means it was months ago that I was here. I don't remember how long. It's been a while. And so my 18th album, it's called Cornerstone. The subtitle is Songs of Comfort and Courage, and it's actually very, very consistent with some of these themes. So here's another song from Cornerstone, which pertains to the second component of getting where you're going. The first one being quitting. The second one being working. Ran away from the sun, ran away from the rain, hid away from everyone, ran away from the pain. Now I'm so out of breath, now I'm so scared to death. But I'm not running anymore. I'm not hiding anymore. For the first time in my life, I will stand my ground. No more running round. Here I am. What's a life covered up? Day and night, not to fail. Like a life without love is its own kind of jail. And what a waste to regret what I haven't tried yet. I'm not running anymore. I'm not hiding anymore. For the first time in my life, I will stand my ground with my heart unbound. Here I am. Throwing the game just to make sure that I never win. Kept counting myself out again and again. So nervous, running in circles till nobody knew where I'd been. Well, maybe today is the day that I let it all in. Maybe my secret hurts no original sin. It's time I've made up my mind. I'm ready to dive in. I'm not running anymore. I'm not hiding anymore. For the first time in my life, I will stand my ground. I will sing out loud. Here I am. Oh yeah. Here I Here I am. There you go. Oh. So, work would probably logically be the second part of getting where you're going. You know, there's a lot of, I struggled I struggled with this. Some of you may be familiar with my water songs. Which I'll sing for the next last third of little section here. And there's some paradoxes built into this little talk. Actually, there's paradoxes built into life, really. As far as I can tell, not that my talk is life, but there are paradoxes built in. You know, there's the song that you guys know Nemo, my buddy Nemo, who's going to be here not next week or 2 weeks from. Oh, they're about to find out. He's pushed it back until May 29th. Put it on your schedule and come back.
I'll let you know.
She'll let you know. But Nemo, the song of mine that that started my friendship with Nemo was a song called "Planting Seeds," which says, "Whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die, whatever works will work, whatever flies will fly." Well, the trick about writing a song like that is you don't really feel like doing anything afterwards. And honestly, what are you supposed to do after you've come to some epiphany that it doesn't matter what you do, but that it kind of doesn't matter what you do, right? So I've spent. It's now been exactly 10 years. By the way, I just got back from Moab. 10 years ago, 10 years and 1 week ago, I landed back in the hellhole that is Southern California. I mean, that is the beautiful paradise that is Southern California after 3 months in Moab, Utah, Red Rock country, where I wrote the songs. And it's, I'm still not entirely back, but I'm kind of mostly back. I didn't have a wife, baby, or mortgage at the time. And wife, baby, and mortgage, they're not burdens. But there's a lot of doing. There's a lot of working, right? And what I'm finding is, so I wrote those water songs, and I kind of let go of ambition. And I think I talked about this last time, or maybe 2 times. I think I talked about last time that it's time to do something. You do decide, I'm going to break a sweat on this. You know, this is not all about trust and surrender anymore. Because trust and surrender, sometimes I hear about people who want to go to college in Hawaii. And I think, or what's the college up on the bluffs in Malibu? Pepperdine. I think that's very nice if you want to go to college in Pepperdine or in University of Maui. But let's call it what it is, early retirement. You're going to be skipping class to go surfing. It's not the University of Chicago, right? Even if it's great academics, you don't go to Hawaii to get serious about your studies. You go to Hawaii because it's paradise. And the water songs were very much a going to Maui type experience. And so there's faith, and then there's action, right? There's trust, and there's quitting, right? To come back to this first little section, you quit things, but the one thing that you actually are going towards, that you want to go towards, there are steps to take. And there's a component of it where waiting doesn't do you any good whatsoever. Trust doesn't do you any good whatsoever. It's not about faith. It's not about, whatever grows will grow, whatever dies will die. No. You go. I've been watching the show called Shark Tank. Anybody ever watch the show? All right. A year ago, the most influential show in my life was Entourage, HBO show Entourage, about a movie star on the make, and his three buddies, and all of them ambitious and driven, nice guys, loyal guys, honest guys, but they had a goal, and they were going for that goal, and just watching it reminded me I had goals. And I know that sounds trivial, but again, I've been singing the water songs for a decade. And it's like, oh yeah, it matters to me. I would like a Grammy nomination. I would like to be driving down the street and my son hear his daddy's voice on the radio and not just on a CD. He knows my songs by heart. It's incredible. I love it. He dances in the living room to his daddy's music. Can you imagine the joy I feel? But I do want him to have the experience of turning on the radio and hearing my voice, right? I have goals. I would like to actually have his college funded. I have goals, and I'm not ashamed. There's no reason to be ashamed of the goals. And I do have a lot of quitting to do. I've been realizing the last year and a half. So that was Entourage. Shark Tank is a great lesson in this working part of it, right? There were these two girls. Maybe some of you saw this episode or whatever. Shark Tank is a show where you stand in front of 5 essentially billionaires. You tell them the business you have started, and you ask them if they'd like to invest in it. And they ask, and they really do invest, and they really do spend their own money on it. You are actually pitching your business to billionaires to get in on it with you. And since they're on national television, and since they are billionaires, they have spectacular resources that a small entrepreneur can never imagine having. So it really is a big shot. And I have songs on the Water CD that say there is no such thing as a big shot. And I was wrong. At least some of the time, I'm wrong. And on the Shark Tank, it's real. It really is a big shot. It really is a chance to take yourself 7 levels above, and it requires work, and they pepper you with the real, honest, hard questions. How much money are you making? How much profit are you making? If you get $1 million of orders tomorrow, could you handle it? What are you doing in that business? That business is way too competitive. Do you have any relationships in that? Are you returning phone calls? Are you sleeping at night? You just had a heart attack 2 years ago. You're not going to be able to build this business. They come back at you with this stuff, right? So these two girls, just to give you an idea, a combination of quitting and working, and then I'll sing you more songs, is these two girls built a business of providing clothes to sororities for Rush Week, when apparently every day during a Rush Week, and I don't know anything about the Greek system, but apparently every day of the 7 days of Rush or whatever, the girls trying to get into a sorority all wear the same outfit. And there was no company to provide that outfit. So these two girls started a company that would provide you, and you have to be fit. They have to be fit to the girls. So we're talking about shipping 20, 30, 40, 50 outfits, custom cut, but all matching to a sorority, and they were doing well. And they actually got somebody one of the billionaires to invest in this business. But 6 months before they started on Shark Tank, they had also started selling bridesmaid dresses, because you would think it's a similar idea. 6 dresses that all look the same, custom fit. Well, the first thing this billionaire did is sat with them and said, "What the hell are you doing selling bridesmaid dresses?" They said, "Well, that's our other half of our business. We're excited." And he said, "Are you really excited?" He said, "What was your profit before you started bridesmaid dresses with just the sororities?" And they said, "Actually, we were making a profit before the bridesmaid dresses. And how are you doing now?" "We're working pretty hard to get the bridesmaid dresses business." He said, "Well, listen, the wedding business is very different than the sorority business. You're in 2 entirely different industries. Stop making bridesmaid dresses." And you could see their faces fall. But it was one of these quitting moments, right? They were in 2 businesses, entirely different markets, entirely different industries, audiences, costs, everything different. And they'd seen it as the same, and he gave them the great gift of essentially firing them from one of their businesses. And then he said, "Now go to work on the sorority business. I need you to hire somebody else for sales. I need you to hire somebody else for marketing. I need phone calls and penetration into sororities around the United States. People on the ground in sororities on every college camp, every big college campus in America. Go." And I'm thinking, this is great. This is the quit, And this is the work. And it's not about, we'll build our website and people will come. No. They had a lot of work to do. Like, I was overwhelmed just watching it. And they were overwhelmed. But the relief of quitting the wrong thing and sweating on the right thing can be pretty powerful. Anyway, okay, so that's 2. So the third way to get where you're going is going to seem paradoxical again. And it is. Quit, work, and wait. Not necessarily in that order. Probably not at all at the same time. Maybe all at the same time. I am in the process of, I don't know if I told you, did I tell you about Operation Ambition last time I was here? I'm in the middle of Operation Ambition, all right? You're witnessing it. It's pretty sloppy, I know. Operation Ambition was sparked by the Entourage show. These 4 kids going for what they wanted, unapologetically, unashamedly, and with every day. They were still having a good time in their lives, but they were focused. One wanted to open a restaurant, one wanted to be an agent, a Hollywood agent, one wanted to be a movie star, one wanted to be a TV actor, and they were going for it. And I thought, okay, I'm actually like midway to 50 in my 40s, and I'm midway to 50, 45, almost 50. I'm not saying it's old, but it's not super young anymore, and I still have these goals, and they're just sitting out there, And I've started actually talking to a few younger people, they're age-wise younger people, and I'm starting to come at them, and I might even start either a class or I'm not joking, like a consulting business for creative people, and the theme of it is don't do what I did. Because when I hear people say, because I really do believe quit, work, and wait, when taken in the right doses and at the right moment, carefully, thoughtfully, consciously, you do get where you're going, right? And there's all kinds of ways to screw it up, and I've dabbled in most of them. Maybe some of you have too. Maybe you feel that maybe this is working for you. You're thinking, yeah, actually, I was supposed to get there, and instead I quit it and kept doing the thing that I really wanted to quit, but didn't, right? Or I have slaved away at the other thing. Or I always trusted that it would come my way in its own time, and instead of sweating, right? Or I figured I would meet the right person for that to happen instead of putting myself out there and making a cold call. So for me, Operation Ambition has been incredibly uncomfortable, expensive, inconvenient, time-consuming, frustrating, embarrassing. Operation Ambition for me has been that I have sold about 110,000 records now. You are literally looking, you are literally looking at approximately the most successful independent musician in the United States. I'm not joking. But no one in the music industry has ever heard of me. And you know why that is? Because I decided I'd meet the right people at the right time, and I can do it all by myself, and that's kind of true. I was always proud of doing it by myself. I mean, we're talking about those CDs shipped by me or an assistant or, a couple of companies. Not a big deal. Nobody big. I mean, it was really, a friend of mine introduced me to somebody at Universal Records, one of the biggest record labels in the world, and said, you should hear this guy. He's a good singer. He writes great songs. He sold 100,000 records. And she said, no, he hasn't. Because if he had, I would have heard of him. I'm like, my proud independent thing. There are certain things I should have done, and instead I didn't, right? I didn't do certain things you're supposed to do, and I ignored them, or I pretended I didn't need to, or I did that one thing, and I tried this, and I tried that, and I made a jazz record, and then a kids record, and then a country record, and all the time, there were certain things people were saying to do. It reminds me, sorry, free association, but maybe some of this is landing for somebody in here. I remember the first time a dentist was drilling a cavity and said, uh-oh, and stopped the drill. I said, what uh-oh mean? And he said, I just got through to the root. I said, what's that mean? He said, it means you need a root canal. I said, sounds painful. He said, well, it's more expensive than painful. I said, how expensive? He said, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. And this was when I was in my 20s and on my own and was going to have to pay for it myself. And I said, well, that sucks. He said, yeah, it does. And then when he cleaned me out, when he finished, I said, anything I could have done to prevent this root canal? He said, do you floss every day? And I said, some days. And he said, well, that's what you could have done to prevent it. And I started, out of my mouth came the sentence, why didn't anybody tell? Oh, they did tell me. My whole life, people have been telling me floss every single day. And what they don't say, or maybe they do, and you don't hear them, is if you don't, one day in your 20s or 30s or 40s, a dentist is going to say, uh-oh, and it's going to cost you $2,000, right? But even that might even been wasted, right? We might be getting messages all the time that are practical and relevant, and we're not ready to hear them, or we ignore them. We say, that doesn't apply to me. You should exercise. Yeah, I will. Or blood pressure matters. Not for me. I'm manifesting health. Well, no, probably not, really. I mean, Buddha died. I mean, everybody died. You know what I mean? So there's the, right? I mean, there's no enlightenment that prevented somebody's heart from stopping beating, as far as we know, ever. So there's quitting the things that aren't the thing you want. Then there's working, real sweat, grit. And this Operation Ambition for me has been the music industry. I've been going to networking dinners, sitting at tables with strangers. It's very uncomfortable. It's like starting a new school every time you go. And nobody's ever heard of me, and what do I tell them? I don't like boasting, and it's uncomfortable and embarrassing. And every so often I've had like little breakthroughs. A few relationships have started, and people now answer my phone call. A few. I don't know what seeds I'm planting, but I know that I'm working in a way that I used to just trust, right? And it's not fun. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not fun. But it is the work that I should have. Like I said, I'll tell you, if you're 33 and you're trying this, come talk to me. I'll tell you what not to do over the next 10 years if you want to get a certain place. If you don't, fine. But if you want to get there, don't say, I'll meet them when I meet them. I can do the day job at the same time, and I can do this, and I'm just going to write one other book before I write the book I want to write. You know what I mean? Right? You got what I'm saying. Okay. So, but then there is the component of waiting. And I might be uncomfortable with what that one says about me right now, but I absolutely stand by the declaration that's in that song, and that's in the song Here Goes Nothing, which I'm going to sing right now for you, and the songs from Water. I stand by it. There is a great ocean, and we are in it. We are not it. We are in it, and we are tiny. And our 2 years or 20 years or 50 years or 100 years is a blink of an eye in this place. Barely registers at all. Nothing we do will last. It is only truly for today. You might think, no, my love will last and my kids. Well, okay. By your grandkids, your great-grandkids, I've said this before out loud, I can vaguely remember still my Bubby's voice. She died in 88. She died in 88. I still remember her voice. I am probably the last person who will, right? So if you build a business, a generation or two, if you're lucky, it goes away. You build a building, they all crumble. You write a book, almost certainly dissolves over time. Even Shakespeare is only a few hundred years. The Tao, a few thousand years. So there is a component of this that is about trust and not stressing or worrying. So can you quit and work without worry? And I would argue that the third component of waiting and trusting does make that possible. I am going to these networking dinners, and I am humbling myself, in front of people I don't know and at events that cost a fortune, take me 2 hours to drive to Hollywood in the middle of the day, to have a $50 dinner, and so all these sorts of things I'm doing. But I am actually not forgetting the message of the water songs, which is that if this is going to happen, I am doing the work, I am doing my best to quit the unrelated things or the distracting things. But what is to come of it is actually ultimately not up to me. Neither the greatest successes nor the greatest failures were planned. Sorry. Not the biggest hit movie, not Henry Ford's Model T, not the Dow, nothing, not the Wall of China. I promise you they did not expect it to still be standing. Nothing is actually planned and then comes out the way it was planned. Nothing. If it were, every movie would be a hit. And every book would be a bestseller. And every business would be a success. And every marriage would last. And everybody would live to 90. And instead, everything else happens but those things. Uncertainty prevails. So there is a component where no matter where you think you're headed, you actually don't know. And you don't need to know. You just need to work in that direction and quit the other things as best you can, within reason. I still am producing records in my studio that aren't my music. It's a job. It's a great job. I love it. It's not actually where I think I'm going. But do I actually know where I'm going? No. So it's related enough. I'm still in, if that makes sense. One more song from Cornerstone. Thanks for having me. And Danelle has me singing one more song during your offering, but it's going to be one of her requests that has nothing to do with any, well, probably still a little to do with it. Here we go. All right. I have never wanted time to go so slow as when I'm watching my little boy grow. When he took his first small steps and toddled by, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But when it's time, we're all gonna learn to walk. When it's time, he's gonna learn how to talk back. When it's time, there's no stopping that clock. When it's time. I have never wanted time to go so fast, paying dues like I'd be paying to the last, singing songs for friendly strangers in a tiny town. May not be the best way to be found, but when it's time, I'll write the song I'm born to write. When it's time, I'll step out into those lights. When it's time, yeah, the music will be mine. When it's time. Who can say where or when our story will end or begin again? We can try to hold back the tide, but everything comes and goes, and nobody really knows. I have never wanted time to stand so still. Thought we could live forever just by force of will. But the day will come, we'll have to say goodbye, and we will never know the reason why. But when it's time, we have just so many years. When it's time, just so much laughter and tears. When it's time, we go back to where we're from. When it's time. All right, one more song. Well, two more songs combined together. Okay. All right. Tough crowd. Well, she did sign the check, to be fair, so I should be a little more respectful. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So, and by the way, if the CD's on the table in the back if you want it, and if you don't want it, I have, there's news and new music and new albums and all kinds of things going on all the time. So I have an email newsletter. Just you can sign up, and I won't stalk you. I've actually underused my email list the last couple of years, but I'll start doing it more regularly, which really just means once a month or so at the most. So if you're open to getting an email, I'd love to have your email address. And that's it. All right, here we go. This song you said was special for you at a certain moment, and this little recording I made, it was special for me because I recorded it when my baby was about 6 months old, and he sat on my lap when I recorded some of this, and I think I have a video of it actually of him sitting while I'm playing some of the keyboard on this, and so this is the first track of an album that I made in his honor called Mellow Time, which is 10 classic pop songs. Mellow Time 2 just came out last year. Mellow Time 1 starts this way. And it is in your honor, even if it isn't your first choice of request. Okay. So here we go. Thank you again. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds were by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops, and that's where you find me somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds were by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Baby, 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 don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yes, everything is gonna be alright.